witness the true power of Pirate King's right-hand man.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Oh, and if I didn't mention this before, the mystery character of Elbaph is in fact SCOPPER GABAN.
Oh my God, I can't believe it!
That is brand new information!
You already know, don't you?
A little bit.
Welcome back to the Grand Line Fantasy, One Piece, Chapter 1000. 139 just dropped, and it was an absolute banger. While it wasn't like the lore-packed chapter we got last week, it was still an amazing chapter as we get an absolute fire introduction of SCOPPER GABAN, the left-hand man of the King of the Pirates. More on that later. We start the chapter back at the West Castle, where Luffy's group is searching for the key. During this search, they stumble upon the throne room, the place where Shamrock and Gunko appeared. We see that the magic circle through which they came is still on the ground. Now, this could mean two things. Either Shamrock left the summoning circle exposed, as he knew he would need to summon other Holy Knights for help, because I don't think that the magic circles that appeared on Egghead Island are still there. Surely they must have vanished after the elders were thrown back to the Holy Land. That leads me to my other speculation, that this summoning circle has been permanently placed here on Elbaph by someone. This would be the more likely scenario, I think. There is so much we don't know about these demonic powers. Hopefully we get more information as we go further in the story. Moving on, we see that the magic circle is so big that Luffy and the other cannot see it from the ground. Road had to pick them up for them to see the huge markings on the ground. Nami recognizes the magic circle as she tells us that she read in some book that it was used as a ritual from some country to summon demons. Now, would this be Oda hinting that Imu is in fact the devil? It seems likely. I think the country Nami is talking about is the one where Brook was sent by Kuma. During the time skip, we saw the Brook stranded in a country that worships the devil. People of that country were trying to summon the devil with almost the same type of demonic circle. We see the gears turning in Luffy's head as he struggles to remember where he saw these same markings before. We only see Luffy remembering because he was the only one present when Saturn and the other elders arrived at the battlefield on Egghead Island. But as always, just as it seems like Luffy is about to put the pieces together and say something useful, he either gives up or we cut away from the scene. Now I know that Luffy is supposed to be the dumb one in the group, but I would love to see some bright moments from Luffy, just saying. We see that the mystery character has arrived in the castle and he recognizes and calls out Luffy. Road mistakes the voice for demons, when he should be the one able to recognize the voice. As further in the chapter, Road himself introduces the Straw Hats to the character. Road panics and tries to run away, as we see a giant axe is thrown towards us. Now, the moment I saw the axe, it clicked. I knew it was Gaban. As we saw in Odin's flashback when Odin and Gaban were fighting each other, we see Gaban fighting with two axes. We see the mystery character sitting on the throne, as we get introduced to Yarsan, a resident of Elbaph and a former pirate. Now, I'll be completely honest. Deep inside, I knew that it was SCOPPER GABAN, but this introduction of Yarsan threw me off guard. Oda literally made me doubt myself. This was clever from Oda. I love this. I had my doubts until we got the Roger flashback. At that point, I was sure that the mystery character of Elbaph, that people have been speculating for years now to be Shiki or someone else, is in fact the former left hand of the King of the Pirates, SCOPPER GABAN. Also, I have to mention this, Apper Gaban attacks us. Road panics and throws Nami in the air. We have this panel in which Zoro, the absolute Chad, who catches Nami like in some kind of romantic manga scene. I just pray that when this scene gets animated, we get some really funny gag animation as Zoro catches Nami, just like the one we got on Punk Hazard. I would be so happy if they did something like that. Also, I wish Sanji was here to see this, but then I think Sanji would be the one that catches Nami instead of Zoro. Anyway, that was just something I thought was really funny. Moving on. We get almost same reaction from Gaban that we got from Rayleigh when he first saw Luffy. He talks about Luffy defeating Kaido and him wanting to visit Wano again. That's when we see Road finally realize that it was Yarsan and not some demon. He introduces the Straw Hats to Yarsan, telling them he's Colin's father. We get an official confirmation on both, Ripley's and Colin's ages. Colin is a 20-year-old giant kid, and Ripley is 80 years old. And I assume that if Rayleigh is around 55 to 60 years old, Gaban would be in the same age as him. Gaban talks about how marrying a giant isn't worth it, as he's the one who ages fast. He also provides us with some lore about mixed-blooded races in One Piece. We get 2 new names, Dosendadas and Watnas. We haven't heard anything about these 2 races, as far as I know. If we have and I missed it, please let me know in the comments. We get this funny but interesting comment from Luffy, as he says that Sanji will probably end up like this when he gets old. Gaban strikes the same pose as Odin. He must have learnt it back when Odin was on Roger's ship. Gaban seems to be a toned-down version of Sanji, with slightly less amount of pervert and simping, but the same energy as Sanji. So it almost seems like a foreshadowing by Oda, when Luffy says Sanji will end up like Gaban when he gets old. We immediately speak to Gaban about releasing Loki, and interestingly, he is excited about this. It seems like he's bored and wants some action and chaos. But despite that, he asks Luffy, what happens when things go sideways and Loki causes trouble? What I find weird is that Gaban has been on Elbaph for 20 years now. Surely he has met Loki. If Loki truly isn't a bad guy, that is what I believe anyway, then why hasn't he helped him? He sure seems on board with Luffy releasing him. I guess he just doesn't want trouble and the blame to be on him. So maybe he's fine with Luffy doing it. He also confirms that it was Shanks who captured him 6 years ago. He also says that no one was able to stop Loki until Shanks did. So how strong does that make Loki? And how much stronger does it make Shanks? Honestly, I can't wait for Loki to be free and show us what he is capable of. While Gaban is yapping about the repercussions of releasing Loki, we see Luffy just ignores him and walks away. And that seems to remind Gaban of Roger, as we get a short flashback where Rayleigh and Gaban are trying to warn Roger about doing something dangerous and Roger just doesn't care. In this flashback, it almost seems like the Roger pirates had the same crew dynamics as the Straw Hat pirates. And I think this is what assures Gaban to trust Luffy. He asks Ro to push the throne, as we see a secret treasure room is hidden behind the throne. I don't know how he knows this, because I kinda don't believe him when he says that he likes exploring and found the room that way. We then cut to the giant feast as Oimo is telling Usopp and the other about Gaban. He says that once Roger was on Elbaph during his treatment, and he was surrounded by enemy pirates. Gaban was the one who annihilated those pirates. With just 2 axes, he completely devastated the mountain, destroying every single tree and leaving nothing behind. And that's how he became the legend known as the Mountain Eater. Now, someone on the internet said he became known as the Mountain Eater when he met Ripley. Like, how do you guys even think of this stuff? But credit where credit is due, I have to say. Both Rayleigh and Gaban bagged some pretty amazing and strong women. But if this was a competition, I think Rayleigh would be the one losing here. Because I don't know how in the world did Gaban manage to get Ripley. My man must have some serious game. Anyway, Jinbei seems to know about this story. Looks like the name Mountain Eater was pretty famous around the One Piece world. Oimo also says that Gaban stood as an equal to Roger and Rayleigh, which might be a bit exaggerated, I don't know. But to be completely honest, I would not mind if Roger, Rayleigh, and Gaban were pretty much equal in strength in their prime. Some people might not like this, but just imagine. Rayleigh and Gaban being almost as strong as Roger, yet choose to serve under him. That would be pretty cool. Gaban leads us to the treasure room, filled with empty treasure chests. As we see the key to freeing Loki just sitting on top of a stone. But as Luffy is about to take the key, we see Gaban take off his hat and his cloak, getting ready to fight Luffy. And this is what I have been waiting for. Before giving the key to Luffy, he wants to know how strong Luffy actually is. Testing if things go sideways with Loki, confirming, is Luffy strong enough to take Loki down? As we officially get the introduction to the left-hand man of the Pirate King, SCOPPER GABAN. I am absolutely hyped for the next chapter and hoping Oda doesn't cut away from this fight. I really want to see how strong Gaban is compared to the current Gear 5 Luffy. That was it for chapter 1139. Overall, it was an amazing chapter and an absolute badass introduction to the mystery character. Sadly, we have a break next week, but Oda absolutely deserves this after giving us 4 banger chapters back to back. So we can definitely wait a week. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this chapter review, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down your thoughts, theories, and opinions about the chapter. Your support means the world to me. Check out my One Piece Final Battle series, where I speculate on how I would like the final battle of One Piece to unfold. If you are interested, link for that is in the description below. Until next time, keep dreaming big and sailing the Grand Line.